Hey, my name's ShawNshawn. I sell art on ShawNshawn.co and specials on eBay. Today we're going to review Ed Swarez, abstract artist on YouTube. So let's check it out, man. So one of the first things I want to check out is he does these advice videos for other artists, which I think are really great. So these are the top 6 things you should avoid as an artist. So let's see if this is see how good this is.
Hi guys, I was just checking the painting that we did on yesterday's live stream, which is looking rather good. Don't forget you can join us every single Wednesday at now 7:30, which is the new time of broadcast for the live painting streams. Now, today's video, boys and girls, is all about the top 6 things that you should avoid if you're an artist.
So one of the really cool things he does is he always starts his videos in his studio, and this one he's actually walking into the studio, which is a great intro. So you're kind of coming in from the outside, which is where we're at, and then we're connecting with the person. And then what he does is he kind of walks around in the video, which, you know, obviously is a promotion for himself, but you also get all the advice. So let's go through the list.
Thing that you should avoid if you're an artist, okay? And this is probably the most important one, and this is about expectations. So here we go. You really got to avoid having massively high expectations. Okay, very quickly, what do I mean by that? So you've given yourself a website and you've launched on social media and you've got 30 amazing pieces of work and nothing happens. You've really got to pare back your expectations. Look, you know, this business, it's a long-term thing. There's a lot of work to do and you have to be really consistent in what you're doing. So if you think right from day one, as soon as you upload something to Saatchi Art that you're going to sell it, if you think you've gone onto Art Finder and suddenly you're going to get 25 orders, or you've launched an Etsy shop, or you've done something on somebody's platform somewhere and nothing happens, then just be very realistic. Just try and bring your expectation level down a little bit. And then if something really great and big happens...
So yeah, this is definitely true for any artist. You really have to have the audience built. So you have to have your marketing done. You can't just put out the website. You really have to work actively. One of the ways he mentions, obviously, he's doing artist tips, so he's reaching a lot of artists. So this is a great way to kind of build your inroads into artists, and artists are also collectors as well. So if you get artists, they'll share your work around to other collectors. So that's a really great thing. So that's one advice. Let's see if we can find the advice number 2.
Now, again, there's some common themes coming through a lot of the videos now that I'm doing, and hopefully you'll start to pick up these little threads. This one is all about being consistent in your work. So, you know, you've got to do something. I always have the mantra that you should do something every single day. That excuse not to do anything until the winter. It just doesn't work like that. You've got to be consistent. So you need to avoid all this inconsistency wherever. Okay.
So we're trying to skip
now, it's
ahead.
really important, especially in the early stages. You're going to have your family and your friends really to rely on. You're going to need their support to help you. But as time goes on, the more you rely on people, the more disappointed you're going to get. And I say that quite loosely, but I'm going to give you a couple of examples, okay? So we were just thinking, Adi and I, about what examples we could use. So I'm going to sort of see if I can do one now. So imagine you're a potter and you make, you throw clay and you do pots. So you're going to do a demonstration and you're borrowing a big potter's wheel for this demonstration, and you get let down on the morning that you're off to do your demo, your public demo, by the person who was going to lend you the potter's wheel. What happens then? Got to have a backup plan, okay? So part of this non-reliance on people, not relying on them too much, is that you can have a backup plan. You must always have a plan.
So yeah, I would totally agree. Anything, it's just kind of a rule. Any kind of planning, you want to have a second option or maybe a third option. This can go for anything in your life: vacation plans, wedding plans. Yeah, have second venues for everything. Have backup. It always helps to have that. You won't always have to engage it, but if you have a second, always have a backup for everything. Like if you have a camera, have a backup camera if possible, maybe a cheaper version. So if your main camera breaks, you can still film on the fly if you're doing, say, a live demo or something. You can't really justify 2 phones, but you could have an older phone as a backup for recording and then transfer it to the new phone. So yeah, let's go on to the next video. This is going to be quite long, so I don't want to take up the whole video here. Another one he's doing is how to stretch a canvas. So let's check this out. So again, he's walking through the studio, showing his art off. Very smart marketing. Let's see if he gets into it. Let me skip ahead.
When it's all done, as a precautionary measure, we then put a couple of diagonally opposing screws into each cross section, where they intersect, I should say. And this just stops the wood from popping out when the canvas is put together. We'll stretch around it.
So obviously he's making a really massive canvas, so you're going to need these crossbars going diagonally. He's talking about how to screw it in. So let's skip ahead a little bit.
So they are absolutely brilliant. So with everything, commissions, paintings for the site, irrespective, everything gets these stretcher bars because they are absolutely magnificent. They're made by a company in the Netherlands, I think, something like that. But I buy them locally, and they're absolutely brilliant. So anyway, that's all the cross sections done. So it just gives me a nice sturdy platform on which to build the rest of it, which is what we're going to do now. Okay, that is the frame now complete. Edges are squared, everything looking pretty good.
And what he's using here is kind of your classic stretcher bars. These are the best. I personally just go to the Home Depot, get wood, and stretch it around that. I think until you're really selling a lot of high volume on your big work, I don't think you necessarily need to buy the stretcher bars. They are the best version of it because you can adjust the corners to stretch it out a little bit, which if you obviously do the Home Depot wood, the only thing you do is really make the canvas tighter by re-stapling it. So let's see how this goes along.
So we've now got to turn that. Now, although Adrian, who's holding the camera, we can do it between us, I want to show you the cheats way of doing it if you're on your own. And for those physicists and people out there that have probably realised already, you just roll it the opposite way, and then you can re-roll it back out again. And hey presto, when you do, you'll then get the right side on the back side, if you see what I mean. I'm just going to turn that around, because I need the non-primed side to be on the back. And theoretically, it doesn't make a huge amount of difference, because you're not going to see this. This is just a piece of lining. That's all this canvas is going to be for, which is quite essential for this particular project. Like I say, I will tell you about that as we do it. So all we've got to do now with this, which is ready, there we go, is to pop the frame over the top of it.
So let's get to...
I'm going to show you again very quickly now, but it's obviously going to be on a much larger canvas, all right?
So I'm just skipping ahead a little bit.
There's a lot of staples to put in, but I'm going to show you how to start it off, all right? So we're going to start off right in the centre. We're going to start in the centre of the long sides. Obviously, if it's square, it doesn't really matter. And then we're going to do the centre of the short sides, and this is what we're going to do.
So this is the same technique I have in my own stretching video. You start in the center of both sides, and you kind of staple and pull slowly out to the edges. There's other people that start from the very far ends, but that's actually wrong. If you start from the center point, you'll have the most tautness in the middle, and then you slowly tauten it all the way out to the edges. So we'll see that as he goes along. We'll go back a little ahead here.
And that's the first anchor right in the very center of the long side, okay? And that's literally it, all right? Now, the reason I'm doing them at an angle, I got taught this about when I first started doing this. Well, I'll go into it another time, but basically it's about load splitting between the top peg and the peg underneath. You can do them, you know, this horizontally, and you can do them vertically, but on a 45-degree angle, a physics friend of mine said you get the best tension between the two pegs of the staple. So on a 45-degree angle is pretty good practice.
So that part I didn't know. I always do mine horizontal. It's been okay so far. You got to be careful you get low quality canvas. I've got low quality canvas and then it rips, and it's a real pain in the ass, because then if you've already painted on it, then you're like, oh my god, what do I do with this? But yeah, that 45-degree angle is a really nice tip. And then he'll just go through and probably staple the rest of this.
Give it another tweak. There we go.
So you definitely want to have the stretcher tools he's mentioning. He'll go all the way to the edges. I'll just skip to his next video here. So here, I think this video is just a studio tour.
Gentlemen, and welcome to Swarez HQ. This is the 2019 Gallery and Studio Tour. Buckle up, it's going to be a hell of a ride. Come on in and join me.
So this is really nice. It's just kind of a nice marketing video. You can use you can put this obviously on the website, and then people can just have a walk around in the art gallery without actually being there. So it has a really cool vibe to it.
Okay, let's go.
So yeah, I think this is a really good way to show your art if you have a studio set up.
Is the main part of the gallery. Now, we built this, started building it about 4 or 5 years ago, just as really a means to an end. The paintings don't sit well when they're compressed under their own weight, so I wanted to get a few walls up so I could just at least hang them. But of course, when you start to put one wall up and you think, oh, that looks pretty good, you then go ahead and start building everything else and stick the rest of them up. So I thought, well, because I'm blessed with a big space, it probably made a whole heap of sense just to carry on building and stick all the walls up. So, like I say, main part of the gallery, kind of always rehanging this on a regular basis. But that's good, you know, you've got to keep things kind of moving all the time.
So yeah, this is a really key step that I learned when I was an art gallery manager. You can go to the same show, for example, and if you're up multiple days, what you can do is every day just bring a slightly different new art, and then the people that come back twice will be like, oh my god, they're selling out, I gotta buy the art. So it's a great way if you got any kind of repeat customers in one event. You just switch out some of the artwork, and then people will be like, what happened to that artwork? You're like, well, you snooze, you lose, right? And so it really creates a lot of momentum. So he's just talking rotating, but it definitely makes a difference. Repeat guests will come back and they'll get the feeling things are selling or they're missing out. So it definitely creates that impetuous to just go and buy that work now before it's gone. So definitely don't just hang your work forever. You always want to be rotating the work slightly. So I was before in a gallery / studio. So every event I would try to change it up. You know, every couple of weeks, move a couple of works around, and then it creates a lot of anyone that comes back to repeat. They'll be like, wow, what happened to this? There's a whole different work here. It was a challenge in that space because I had a huge closet that I built for like $500, and then I had it against the wall and it had rollers, but it was so heavy because I had all the work stacked in there. So it just became kind of a nightmare. I overbuilt it a little bit too big. But I had to store the artwork somewhere. My wife didn't want to store it in our 1-bedroom condo, so it is what it is, you know. So the way he has the space laid out, this is ideally what you'd want to do.
I kind of had to exercise that desire to get that kind of 3D thing out. So these are aluminium, they're hand formed, and they are a lot of work to do, but they're fun and they're happy and they're exciting. And I'm very much into space and physics, so they've all got holes.
So if you have any kind of gallery space like this, I would highly encourage you, if you don't do sculpture, have a sculpture, pair up with a sculptor and have their work as, sell at consignment or whatever, or like you take a split of their work, but have that combined with your own work, and it'll create a much more interesting kind of gallery experience versus just a single solo artist. Luckily, he knows how to do some sculpture, so he has his own work in there, which is, obviously really strong.
With the material and the resin, I think they're mind-blowing, and I'm not saying that whether you assess them as being good, bad, whether you like them or not, but as a collection of materials and as a principle and as a series of techniques which I haven't genuinely seen anywhere else in the world, I just think they're extraordinary. So if you manage to come here, we can talk about that and have a look at them, because I love them. I think they're amazing. And again, we've been learning with things like casting resin, rare earth pigments, and this beautiful stuff called carbon fibre, which comes on a sheet, which is basically a material. So there's a little room over there where it's all done, which is a room that we can use to stabilize.
So this is another smart idea. He's using he's not just doing work on canvas, he's doing it on aluminum with sculpture. He's using fiber carbon, he's using resin, he's using acrylic. So you want to have a little bit of variety to your work. It gives it a lot more flexibility. You're going to have different buyers for different types of materials, and it gives you new venues as you open up those new materials. You might have an old buyer be like, oh, I got to get the sculpture, oh, I got to get the resin work. So this is a really smart strategy. Let's go back to another work here. So in this video, he's going to have a painting demonstration.
Good evening. I just forgot I haven't used my bulldog clip. Right. Hopefully you're all reading me loud and clear.
So this is a little bit crazy. He's got like a huge mask on. I don't really know if you really need a mask for this per se. You could probably get away with a bandana or just They have breathing masks that are just kind of in your mouth. You don't necessarily have to have the goggles on top of it. It's a little extreme, but it makes for a really funny video, I think.
And if we can pan down now, buddy, on the... I'm going to pull this out and show you.
I'm going to skip to the where it starts.
Heaps of fun, don't you think? For me to get just utterly covered in paint, I think it'd be hysterical. Right, so we're almost ready to get going with the mop tool. I don't really know what you call this tool, but I'm just going to add some wisps of cream, because again, this is my base.
Let's see if we skip ahead a little
please,
bit.
Please bear with us. Large volumes of paint, which is what we're going to deal with very shortly, going on to unpainted canvas, you see. So here we go, bang it over. Remember,
So this is kind of a fun technique. I have my own blades I use, but he's using kind of a squeegee tool on the floor, so it's a really interesting technique. Obviously not taught in school, it just kind of discovered, self-discovery probably. So this is a really cool idea to have different ways to apply the paint. Will give you a different type of painting.
Anyone who wants to ask a question, please feel free.
So we'll skip ahead a little bit.
Just get on the damn thing. Before we have a look at the comments, let's get some paint inside here. So I just need to open my tins. There we go.
So I'm wondering how he's going to get in here with...
yeah, maybe, do you know what? I'm going to pop some thinners into the circle. Let's do the giant one, giant circle first. Standard mineral thinners. Let's give that a good...
So I think he's actually let that painting dry, obviously, to walk on it. So let's see where it goes.
Good dosing. When the paint hits the thin... Oh, nearly went. When the...
Let's see, I'll skip ahead a little bit.
Judah 87, no, sorry. Derek Pink, yes. Right, careful I don't kill myself. Try and keep myself to this area of the canvas. Let's get the rest. So really got to be careful I don't go outside the tin. I know it's going to move a little bit and it's not accurate, but never done this before. So look, you know, you've got to try these things, haven't you? What's life without a little bit of risk? You know, what's the worst that's going to happen? I'll go.
So I'll skip ahead a little bit.
So, let's, we don't need this anymore.
Okay, I think he's going to move the paint
It
here.
cost a fortune. I thought you were going to put multiple colours in each one. Was that from Bob's M? Yeah, I might do, but I got 2 purples in that. And don't forget what's underneath is starting to mix.
Alright, let's see.
Oh, tentacles, nice. Right, let's get that moving. There we go. Okay, my boot marks everywhere. Oh well, not to worry. I'm on it now. It is what it is. Right, let's get you. That's more like it. Let's get that spread out. Okay, loving the orange. Let's get you out there. Whoa, let's just. I could be rolling on it in about 5 minutes. Right. Areas out. It's just such a difficult call now. Really well spotted. Slip and slide from Tim looks.
So it's kind of an interesting process. I don't know if you needed to necessarily put it in pots the way he did. I think I would have just dripped it all. It would have been cooler. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting process.
Proper stressing me out then. Right, let's get rid of these footprints then. Be careful I don't spray too much, because otherwise I'm going to ruin everything else. These should just start to dissolve a little bit, which is completely what I want. If there's a few left in it, then you're all going to know, oh, that's your footprint painting, Ed. We remember the day you did that, when you literally spent all... Let's cover that up. Right, guys and girls, who can not like this? What?
So it's kind of a fun video, I think. He's doing it live. He's using new materials, supposedly. Got a lot of splash. So it's very dramatic with the mask on. I don't know if you need the mask on. Maybe it is toxic, so maybe because it's in liquefied form versus when it dries, it's probably safer. I don't know. Yeah, I like some of the abstracts. It's interesting to see this technique because I've done drip, but in a whole different fashion. So it's really interesting, I think. Overall, he has a really good message. He also has a whole video, which I won't go into just to kind of save time, about how he doesn't like galleries and he kind of avoids the gallery system altogether. So then he has to do all his marketing, so that's a much more tougher in a way because you don't have the gallery pitching for you. You have to do your own pitching, but the thing is nowadays with the online, YouTube, Facebook, social media, I don't think you really necessarily need to go through the galleries. If you can, you know, just hardcore hit the marketing, you can sell your work that way. So yeah, it's just a matter of getting yourself out there. It's really interesting too. He has a nice backstory. He started as a van driver, and he didn't really start painting until 38, which is really interesting, a really late start. But some artists start late, but he just kept driving, and get totally obsessed with it, obviously, to get good. So yeah, he's a really interesting artist. I would check him out as far as abstract art, and hopefully you guys like the video. Hopefully Ed likes the video too. Check out his channel, and hopefully you check out my abstract art as well. Thanks for watching, guys.